Hello and welcome to NavTalk. NavTalk is proudly brought to you by the Navwealth Financial Group, helping you reach your destination in life on purpose. My name is Simon Prowse and I'll be your regular host for this series of podcasts. And I look forward to bringing you interviews and content on a broad range of topics. Topics that will be educational, inspirational, informative and at times fun. Well, hello everyone and welcome to another edition of NavTalk. I'm very excited today to have three special guests for our NavTalk. Hayley Kalms, the head of Navwealth Bookkeeping.
Hi, Simon.
Craig Banning, and our CEO and head of our wealth team.
Hi, Simon.
And Sally Prowse, who's head of our finance team.
Hi, Simon.
Well, I'm very excited to have you all here today, and the topic really is a bit of a rundown or an overview on the year that was 2022. And being the head of your departments, guys, you're probably the closest thing to give us a bit of an update. So, Craig, why don't we start with you as the Navwealth CEO with your CEO hat on. How's it been for 2022, Craig?
Yeah, Simon, I think 2022 was probably the best year we've ever had at Navwealth. Given it was our 31st birthday, we clocked over 30 staff, team members at Navwealth. We had our largest number of new clients come to us than ever before, which I think is really interesting. Coming out of the COVID period, businesses are now getting back to business. People are wanting to invest their money if they're coming up to retirement. It's just been a really awesome year. And I think on top of that, it's so difficult to even find an advisor now, let alone quality advice, given there's been so many advisors leave the industry since the Royal Commission. We've gone from 28,000 advisors in Australia to now 16,000. So it is extremely difficult to find a good advisor in Australia. Hence why I think all our clients are now referring their friends and family to Navwealth, be it for financial advice or accounting or bookkeeping or finance. I think our model of integrated advice is really working beautifully.
It seemed to be a bit of a flavour out there with resources and staffing. In fact, most businesses I've been interviewing have been saying they're thin on staff resources and it's been quite challenging. How have you found Navwealth's adapted to that in terms of being the employer of choice? Have you found that that's worked?
Yeah, I think the best thing we've done at Navwealth, although it creates some challenges, is giving our team at Navwealth the flexibility to work at home or come to the office. Whilst it creates some challenges for some areas of the business, our team members have never been happier.
That's fantastic. And in terms of that flexibility, it sort of was a forced flexibility with COVID, but we've been able to adapt our style to make it work.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Simon. Without COVID, we would never have done it. Let's be honest. I don't think before COVID, we would have said to our wonderful team members, as much as we trust them at Navwealth, would we really have said, yeah, come to the office whenever you feel like it? I just don't think we would have done that.
This is amazing. I recall one of our meetings when our internal manager was talking to us about that possibility, and we literally, it was a jaw-dropping moment.
Yeah.
I didn't think it could work.
Yeah. And so now a lot of employers are doing this, of course, to try to keep the talent. And the talent wants flexibility. And for us, I think we're really fortunate that it's working well. Clients are telling me that their service standards are better, not worse. So really, it's been a very, very successful year for us.
And now turning that over to our clientele and what you mentioned when you're talking about our success this year and this integrated advice. So are you finding a lot of that is a Navwealth specialty, that integrated advice? Do you think it's our niche, as to say?
Absolutely, Simon. I mean, where can you go these days, particularly if you're busy people, and get all of your advisors to work in harmony together and, in fact, be in the same room with you? I mean, clients tell me all the time, this is extraordinary, Craig. I never knew it existed.
That's fantastic. And that shows with the growth of the business in the 2022 year.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that a bit later. So I might just now jump over to Hayley, and Hayley being the head of bookkeeping at Navwealth and really managing that arm. And And Hayley, give us your reflection on bookkeeping at Navwealth in 2022.
2022, I'm proud of our little bookkeeping side of the business. We've continued to grow. We've put on more staff. And I think we're really fitting well into that whole integrated service that Navwealth is providing at the moment. It's actually been really good being involved with the clients as they're coming out of COVID. Businesses are starting to build again, become a bit more successful again, and we can really be a part of that with all. There's always new compliance. We're getting more involved with consultancy and reporting with the clients, and so we can really help them grow now this next sort of new phase, I guess, of business.
And how have you found over the year with the software and the adaptation? We've seen a lot of extra compliance coming out of the ATO, single touch payroll, direct reporting on super. How's that been for you and the team?
So we've got to continually educate ourselves. And all the software and all the latest compliance. But I think the software out there at the moment is fantastic, which allows us to really help and advise our clients to make sure that they're doing the right thing, make sure they're reporting the correct.
And that's using Xero as your mainstream product.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Xero is a great product that really covers you in all areas of compliance, really.
And I think it allows your team to actually be very close to the financials without physically being at the client's site, which also helps in making it efficient.
Yeah, I think especially with COVID, not only did we see like staff moving away and working more from home, we could also do that with our clients. We didn't have to go to their office. You're seeing more of that outsourced sort of finance department really grow. And that's what sort of our focus is at the moment as well.
It's pretty amazing in that regard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if COVID had come 5 years earlier, we would have been in a world of hurt with software. It's just the fact that the software was ahead of that game in terms of the physical side of where you can operate it and use it.
Correct, yeah. And it seems to be moving with the times as well. So it really is... the ability to work outsourced now and with all the technology is great, and it's great for our clients.
And in regard to those clients, have you found that year? Have you been picking up a lot more and are you doing more with those clients? What's been the flavour? Yeah,
no, we're definitely picking up more business, especially as I mentioned, the outsourced sort of finance department. So as it's getting harder to find quality staff and employ staff, we can actually fill that gap and sort of become that outsourced finance department for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've had a couple of instances actually sitting with you with clients, and when you talk to them about that option and they sort of get a pricing feel for it in terms of scoping it up, and it's been very pleasant as far as the feedback I've had. Yeah, so
it only fills the gap of not being able to get staff, but it is often sort of a cheaper option because you don't have all those employee expenses and putting sort of a bottom on a seat really. You've just got the expense of a contractor really coming in and helping you.
Yeah, and you've got a specialist too, right? Because their eyes are only for those financials rather than looking at other things and getting distracted.
Yeah, we can definitely bring a lot more experience as well to the clients providing that service.
Yeah. In terms of the future development on the software, we're seeing the add-ons hitting the market regularly. We're seeing a lot more development in Xero. Do you think is there anything major coming out of it, or do you think it's going to change, particularly in the next 12 months?
I think that the apps, there's new apps nearly every day coming out that Xero are keeping up with, so they'll be able to tap into Xero and use a lot of integrated apps to help businesses, from project management to point of sale systems. It is forever an evolving area, really.
Great. And for those people at home, your team work remotely or in the office if needed.
Yep.
And they reconcile and prepare accounts as often as needed, weekly, monthly or quarterly, really based on the size of the client and how much compliance they're trying to stay on top of.
Exactly, yeah. We tailor a package to suit your business and your business's budget. So we could do anything as, tapping in just once a month, doing your buzzers to providing daily accounting work for you.
Oh, that's great, Hayley. Now I'll turn my attention over to the world of finance and Sally and your team. Sally, how's the year been for 2022? A bit challenging, I dare say.
Well, yes, we never thought we'd see anything like this, to be honest. 7 rate rises in 7 months. We've was unprecedented, and we weren't really ready for that. I believe the RBA set us up last year saying they weren't going to lift rates to 2024, but lucky we have had a lot of clients that were fixed until mid next year, but that's the education piece that we're going to have to continue on with, of how can we make sure the clients are in a good position when they do come off those fixed rates. So we're always comparing products, and that's why it's very important these days, I believe, to come to a mortgage broker, because we have the options of up to 30 different lenders, and mortgage brokers now write around 70% of the business in the market, because we're able to give clients those options and show them comparables to where they are right now and play the banks off with one another.
Okay, there's a few areas I'd like to just cover that you went through there, which was really good, by the way. So firstly, you're saying that you're going to be working with your clients and getting them ready for when they come off these fixed rates. So what are the sort of things these clients can do to get ready, to prepare, if you like?
I think budgeting is very important. See where banks are still looking at expenses. So obviously mortgages have basically doubled. When these people are going to come off these rates, they're going to double of what they're doing. If you have investment loans, we can look at, they can be prepared. A lot of rents are going up, which we're seeing in the market as well. So I do think it's important actually not to sign 12-month leases as a landlord at the moment.
Right, that's interesting.
Well, I think you should have the option of 6+6, because we didn't see this coming, to be honest, and so that's what you are seeing, the increase in rents from landlords.
Okay. And when you said you've got to be conscious of your budget and getting ready in terms of doing a bit of budgeting, that's your household budget to work out your net excess of monies every week or month. So as you're planning for what you can afford with the bank and you're on the front foot. Is that fair?
Yes. That's correct.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about these rate rises. We've seen, as you said, unprecedented 7 rate rises by the Reserve Bank. Where's the money sitting at the moment? What are we borrowing at roughly now?
For owner occupiers, we can still get around, it's around 4.3%, whereas this time last year we were looking at around 2.2%. So it's gone up that 2%. So servicing is getting tougher. We're actually now seeing, with the rate rises, obviously the prices are coming down. So just the last couple of weeks I've actually seen a few valuations come in lower than we would have liked, or what they actually bought it for 2 years ago. So that's where it does become a bit scary. So I'm actually recommending to clients at the moment, if they are looking at doing anything, try and get a valuation now, because valuations are actually valid for 3 months. The data to catch up with where we're actually at in the market, I find.
So if a client's looking to get a valuation, they just contact you and you just put them in touch with a valuer that would be applicable to their bank.
Yeah, but I also always get 3 valuations done, because it's amazing how different values can be.
Okay, and that valuation lasts for 3 months. So if your fixed rate's coming off in March, you could be getting a valuation late December, early January. We'll order it in December. It's done in January, so it'll be valid through to March when you're doing the refi.
Yeah, correct.
Now, you mentioned 4.2% for owner-occupied. What are we looking at for the typical investment style loans and then through to commercial?
The investment loans are anywhere from, say, 4.8. They're roughly still about 0.5% more. And the commercial is around 5.5% to 6% at the moment.
And they're ones that are typical of the mould, that the valuation comes in right and the LVR ratio, loan to value that is ratio, is not too high.
Yeah.
And so it's a vanilla style loan.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the harder loans, they're paying a higher interest rate. Is that fair?
High LVRs. All the banks are doing pricing now on loan to value ratios, which is interesting. That's another big change. And just in the last couple of weeks, another massive change is a lot of the shading for investment loans has actually gone from, most banks used to take 80% of rental income, and they've just increased it to 90%. So that's interesting, because banks don't want to lose business. They want to keep lending money, and that was one of the changes which makes serviceability better for the customer. So each bank's different as well, so not all banks have done that. So it's been quite interesting, and it just changes on a weekly basis.
So what we're seeing, I'll make sure I sum this up right, we're seeing the banks actually take 90% of the rental income rather than previous years, and a long time at 80%. And does that sort of mean that we're seeing that squeeze in the rental market and the bank's expecting rents to actually increase, do you think?
It's more about serviceability, I believe. It's the banks look, as we went through in the last podcast, they look at the three things, and the first one is serviceability, and so it's income versus expenses. So if we can use more rent, we're going to get higher serviceability.
Great. And in terms of that servicing, we've always had this dynamic between what you're actually paying the bank and what they're valuing the mortgage at, or putting the servicing calculator on it. What's that at the moment?
So last November, because when the market was going really increasing so much, what the APRA has suggested, they did 3% on top of the existing rate. So we're actually nearly at that point now where we were. So 3% of where we were a year ago is basically what people are actually paying. So that was the buffer. Prior to that, for the last couple of years before that, was only 2.5%. So they increased it by 0.5% last November. So that would be the other change I would see when the lending slows down a bit. That's the only thing they could really do, I suggest, is decrease the buffer back to 2.5%.
Okay, so it's still around 3?
It is 3.
Right, so it makes it really tough if you're coming in on a loan at 4.8.
Yeah, so its serviceability has gone from, we were doing the serviceability rate at, say, 5.4 last year, and now it's 7.4.
So the message I've got, we've got some challenges with the rate rises coming in. You're saying get prepared. If you are coming off a fixed rate next year, start getting prepared. Start thinking about valuing your property. And in terms of those people out there who might not be on a fixed rate and who just want to get an idea, those numbers you mentioned, the headline borrowing numbers, are they pretty standard?
No, we have to price every single loan, and we play banks off one. We basically have a full-time pricing person. Okay,
and do you find the headline rate that you see advertised is quite often the rate you're getting, or are you getting a better outcome because you're a broker?
Yeah, we're getting a lot better outcome. In most instances, I'm saving, sometimes up to 1% of what the clients are currently on. So it's definitely worth a 5-minute chat to see what we can do, because as I said, every bank is pricing on loan to value ratios, loan sizes, and also the who they're the competitors.
So if you were a person out in the market, or you were a person who had a mortgage, how often would you poke your head up and have a bit of a look and see if it's competitive? How often do you sort of recommend to review it?
At least every 12 months.
At least every 12 months, especially with the rising environment, right?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Now for the accounting team, and it's probably a bit hard for me to ask myself questions. So for this part of the discussion, Craig, why don't I get you to interview me?
Sure, that's a great idea. You can't really ask yourself questions. I guess my question, Simon, which is what we get all the time from clients, is what makes Navwealth Accounting different to other accounting firms?
When we initially take on a client, or what we do is a health check and have a review meeting, our approach to that we find is quite different, in terms of we really pull the client's business apart and look at the structure and identify the suitability of that structure the client's needs. The next thing we do is we try and educate the client. And educating the client is not just about their structure and how to use it, it's educating them about what we do in accounting, so that they can have a more engaged discussion with us and a greater grasp of what they can do in the ball game, if you like, in the field in which their business plays.
Yeah, I guess what I notice a lot, Simon, when new clients come to us from various parts of Navwealth and end up in Navwealth Accounting, what always astounds me is how their structures aren't optimised. I find it quite fascinating. After 31 years, we send in a client to Navwealth Accounting and we do you guys, your team, do a deep dive into their affairs, and you go, oh, they need different structures or different companies. That always amazes me. Why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the client being the accountant for the client being more of an order taker rather than a creator of things. So clients have spoken to us and they go and see the accountant, ask the question, the accountant says yes or no, and rightly, with great, they're very clever, but doesn't look at the why or doesn't take a deeper dive into not just the yes and no, but why not this? To challenge it and to try and create the most optimal outcome.
And I guess the other thing I see our accountants doing is talking a lot to our clients that own businesses about where their business is heading and actually planning that journey.
That's actually a sort of a brilliant segue, Craig, because in wealth, your core is about exactly that. What is my destination and how I'm going to get there? And when our accountants learning from the wealth team and the way they go about it, we've found it's changed the way we do have conversations with clients. We're now looking in the windscreen, we're looking ahead and planning rather than looking in the rears and just going, well, we've done your tax for last year and that was 6 months ago. So that has been sort of a revelation, if you like, for the accounting team, and we're constantly learning about actually becoming better, proactive people, not just the order takers.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the fact now that just the other day we had 3 generations of clients in from a family in our office in the one day, and we have multiple families that have 3 generations, which are, the grandparents going into a nursing home, their adult children, which are probably in their 50s, maybe even 60s, and then those clients in their 50s and 60s are now bringing in their children in their early 20s. Because they want their children in their early 20s to get started in life financially the right way. So, that's just such a privilege for us, the fact that we would have 3 generations from a family coming to Navwealth for all the various things we do. And I think that comes about for a couple of reasons. One, we've been around for a long time, 31 years. I think the second reason is a lot of people might come to Navwealth for financial advice or financial planning advice to simply invest money, for example. But when they get to us, they realise there's so many things we can help them on, like accounting, like bookkeeping if they run a business, lending. Most people in their 30s, 40s, 50s and even 60s now have loans. So it's really important that we're able to bring Sally and her team in to help our clients. So it just dovetails so beautifully through the different parts of Navwealth. And I think the last highlight of that I saw again this year, we've just completed our Most Trusted Advisor survey again. We've been doing this for 6 years now. And I must admit this year, I was a little more nervous than previous years. I think that's because of the COVID period and clients not coming into our office as much, doing more on Zoom or online meetings. I thought, are our stats going to start to fall? But they didn't. In fact, they're astonishing. For example, our trust score out of 100 is 96. That means that all our clients rated us on average 9.6 out of 10 when it comes to trust. They rated us for their relationship with us as 9.5. So again, out of 10, 9.5. It's nearly hard to believe these numbers, quite frankly. And overall satisfaction was 9.4. So these scores from the Beddoes Institute, who run this survey for us, are absolutely astounding. And I think at the end of the day, we finished 2022 with not only our clients extremely happy, now referring more of their family members to us. I just think it's probably been the best year I can remember.
I've got to admit that integrated advice piece. It is so refreshing to go into a client meeting and know that I've sat with Hayley and we've got the numbers and Hayley's already sort of done the management reports, and then I've got a wealth member there to assist with the superannuation and investments, and then we fall back over to the finance team to say, look, is their mortgage in good shape and can we do a better deal? It's a compelling program.
Yeah, you look at the few examples this year we have of this where, in our newsletter there's the story about the dentist that's now just sold his business that Simon, you helped him with so much, and so many of our team members at Navwealth helped them. When they came to us more than 10 years ago, They were dealing with financial advisors charging 4 and 5 times what we charge them. Yet they come to us, they get their business in shape, they plan their retirement, they invest their funds with us, and look at that. The dreams come true for them. They're now retired and can't speak more highly of everyone at Navwealth.
Yeah, that's a really good one, and it is in our newsletter and a case study. There's actually been another client, which was an interesting one, out of a country town on the northern rivers, and that client had what they thought was a pretty good program and services, and once we dived into it, we found that there was a lot lacking. Hayley, you're now dealing directly with that client and getting their books in order, and they were a mess.
Yep.
Weren't they?
Correct, yeah.
They were behind on their tax, and then Sally got involved in helping them refinance their house, and they were in a bit of bother, weren't they, before you were able to refinance them?
Yeah. Well, I managed to find a lender actually being a dentist that can now lend up to 95%, which was quite amazing because we were able to retire some of the debt outside their home loan, and we integrated also their monthly. I think we saved them probably over $25,000 for the year on what they were paying.
So $25,000 physical cash not being paid to the bank, and not a lot in terms of the home loan hasn't been extended. It's just the way it was structured. Mm-hmm. That's an amazing story, and they're stoked. I mean, they're used to country towns, and they thought coming to the city was going to be expensive and hard to work with us, but I think we've had a great outcome.
Isn't that interesting, Simon? I was just listening to Sally talking about the incredible amount of money Sally and her team save people on their loans. And Hayley talking about this is reflected, made me think about something. In our team meetings, we talk about the story of the week with clients. We talk about all the benefits we've been doing. And one of the things that always I love to hear around Navwealth and all the various teams is just how we save clients money. I mean, people might come to us thinking it's going to cost more to have this team that look after them, but it's amazing how we extract savings for them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of efficiencies with the team. If I go to a meeting and I go to my wealth advisor and I walk out of that meeting and I go and want to talk to my accountant, I'm going to have a whole new meeting, and then the accountant's going to want me to replay what I spoke to the wealth advisor about. And so the efficiencies, I think, create the savings. I
think you're right. I mean, I think of all the times in a week we have meetings with various parts of Navwealth on that one client, where we all sit around in a room and talk about how we're going to help our client. That just does not happen if you have advisors from different firms.
This has been great, guys, and really it's been a good summation of what 2022 was. I know we're all sort of limping to the finish line, as they say, and looking forward to that Christmas break. I'll just rip around and get one reflection from all of you on 22 and moving into 23. For me, I'll start it. I always love referrals. I want to see us work with and help more business clients, from their books right through to their full, personal financial goals and objectives. I want to see more referrals come into the business. And anyone out there, send your friends to me. That's my...
Well, I think 2022 was about rebuilding and growing. So now I'm really looking forward to helping now our clients move to that next stage and success and really building up their businesses, from compliance to reporting, the cash flows, everything, just seeing their businesses grow. That's what I'd love to see.
I'm a bit the same as Hayley, and one of the best things I believe about my job at the moment is pretty much what Craig said, just getting referrals from children now, just being able to help previous clients' children get into the property market. So that's a really big focus of mine, of how we can help our children firstly save to get into the property market and get them an understanding of what the best, how do we actually do it. I think that's really important for the younger generation.
Yeah, really important.
And rewarding for you, Sally.
Yeah, it's really rewarding being able to see, friends' kids come to me and say, I want to buy a house and this is how we can do it. And being in Sydney and being obviously in the industry with Navwealth, there is a lot of wealth there. So showing the parents as well how they can help their children without actually just by using their security, I think, not just giving them money, but, getting the kids to work for it, but being able to help in that way has been really rewarding.
And finally, you, Craig, give us a wrap on 2022 and a bit on 23.
Well, I think 2022, as I said, was a wonderful year for all the things we've just talked about. What that's now doing is a different thing for 2023. I think due to your great NavTalk, Simon, we're now getting businesses wanting to join us. So we've now got what some would say are our competitors, being other accounting firms or financial planning firms, that are now knocking on our door wanting to join our group. So that's going to be an interesting year for us in 2023 to see if there is somebody out there that we think suitable to join us, and we may see Navwealth grow even faster.
So we might see some extraordinary growth, is what you're saying, Craig.
We might, but at the end of the day, what is important is that we are a high-touch relationship with our clients. I don't think we'll ever see Navwealth get so large that we won't know our clients, or we won't know. That's just not going to happen on our watch, is it?
Yeah, I think you're sort of nailing on the head there in terms of service standards. I think that you're trying to say that service standard is just going to maintain, and it's critical.
Correct.
That trusted advisor at 95.
We need to keep the trusted advisor. Stamp it at that incredible 96%. Amazing.
Well, guys, it's been an interesting year. I think we're all looking forward to the break and what 2023 brings. I'd like to thank you all for coming today. I really appreciate it, and wish you all and your families and our clients out there a very Merry Christmas and a happy, prosperous 2023.
See you in 2023. Woo!
See ya.
See ya.
Bye. Thanks for joining us today for NavTalk. You can listen to other podcasts in the NavTalk series via YouTube or where you get your favourite podcasts, or simply search NavTalk. Be sure to follow Navwealth on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook or Twitter. And please, if there are any particular topics you would like us to cover for a future episode, let us know via our website. I'm Simon Prowse. Until we talk again.